wants to mix in Chris Lord-Alge's own studio, his professional multi-million-dollar studio? Well, of course you do, and you can do that now with Wave's CLA NX. And once you get inside of CLA's room, it's almost like you're able to do the Lord's work. Little joke. Okay, so let's check out what this plugin is. So this is a model, an exact model of CLA's own room, his Mix LA studio. Plus, you get 3 different sets of speakers or monitors to listen through. So we have the CLA 10 plus the sub, we have the mains, and we have a boombox that is located in the rear of the room, which is why you have this arrow here that will switch you around to put the boombox at the center, the center of the image. Of course, if you want to hear the boombox behind you, you can just pop it on like that. You can also rotate your studio. You can also use your mouse scroll wheel, by the way, right there. You can also just come right up here and just drag around, okay? Hit your 0 degrees, put you right back in the center. You have your overall ambience level of this room. Now it's modeled to be accurate at 100%, but if, for some reason you want your own personal room, you can modify that ambience however you want. So more overall ambience, less overall ambience, etc. Alt-click, put that back to the center. You have a level knob right here, and that's because there might be a difference between having on CLA NX and then not having it on. So of course you want your levels to be matched. So if I just bypass this right now and then turn it on, now I want to make sure my levels are matched, because if something is incredibly louder or quieter, of course, we're going to make different decisions like that. So with this room here that you have, not only do you have your 3 included, sources to listen back on, you can also bypass so you can listen on just your headphones. And of course, you want your mix to work on just your headphones as well. But what this allows you to do is mix on headphones like you're in a real room, because when you're in a real room, you have your monitors there in front of you. And the way sound waves work is much different than having essentially these sound waves glued to our ears. And what you're essentially going to hear with this is whenever I turn it on, you're going to hear everything sort of move out, and you're going to have a sort of a 360-degree experience. And then whenever I bypass it, you're going to hear everything come back and just be right in your ear. We'll get back to some of the other settings here in just a second. So let's check this out here. We'll start with it bypassed, and then we'll pop it on, and you'll feel everything move out, and it's going to be much more like a room, of course. Right? It opens up, right? Ready? You feel everything just move back. So they move back out like we have a real room, right? So that's the basic reason of why you would want to use something like this. It's very important whenever you're mixing on headphones and you're trying to position things in space to be able to hear, exactly what they're going to sound like when they come through speakers. And we'll look at some examples of that, such as panning or even effects. Any kind of a modulation effect, any kind of a reverb or delay effect is going to sound drastically different when it's coming from speakers versus being basically glued to the left and right. But let's go over some more of these settings that we have in here. You can mute or solo on your inputs, as you can see. Pretty simple stuff. Solo or mute. We have head tracking, and I have head tracking on right now. And I'm using the NX head tracker. You can probably see it on my headphone headband. It doesn't modify the headband of your headphones at all. It just sits right up there. It tracks via Bluetooth. Pull this up so you can see it there. You can see the movements right there. Simple device, easy to use, stays out of the way, stays right up there. You can get your movements tracked. You can also, by the way, track with any kind of a webcam. You can even use the sensor fusion and fuse the camera and the NX tracker at the same time. If you want, we can calibrate this. So if I'm, way off somewhere, and say this is right down the middle, I can just calibrate that. That will set me right where I need to be. I need to be right there in the middle. We have a headphone EQ, which you don't have to have turned on. So there is a certain list here, all these here, I'll just let you read through that. If you have these, specific headphones, you can turn on your headphone EQ. It's going to modify it just a little bit for that exact pair of headphones, but you don't need necessarily to have any of these headphones at all. You can set it to none. You can leave it turned off, or if you want, you can have it turned on. I'm wearing some HD 280 Pros right now, so I could have it turned on. If I play back with this turned on, again, it's very slight. Very slight. So for the purposes of the video, since I don't know what headphones other people are wearing, I'm going to leave that turned off. You also have your head modeling, and the good thing about the head modeling in here, if you have any of the other waves, if you have Waves NX, for example, and you've already done the head modeling, I didn't have to redo my head modeling. I could just come right in here, call up my preset, and I'm good to go. So your head modeling, your head modeling is meant to put you in the room, because if you're in the room with whatever size your head happens to be, the distance between your ears, etc., the way the sound waves are going to hit you will, of course, be different from the way they'd hit somebody else. So it just adds another level of realism. You can also change the size of the interface, which is nice if you're using like a 4K monitor or something. You can really jack that up or take it down if you need to. All right. So now let's move on to some reasons of why you would want to use this. So first up, you would put Waves CLA NX on your master output. You don't need to put it on every individual track. Just put it on your master output. Okay. Set it up right there and you're basically good to go. Now let's check out why exactly would you want to use something like this? And it will become very apparent whenever you look at things like panning. We'll go for some drums. Let's go over to the mixer, and you can see that I have the toms panned way over to the left and way over to the right. Now, whenever you're wearing headphones and just wearing headphones, I'm going to bypass CLA NX, okay? So if I play this drum here, which is panned all the way to the left, you can hear that. Basically only in the left, a little bit of bleed over there to the right. And then this drum here, again, it's basically glued to left and right. Whereas in the real world, whenever sound is coming out of a speaker, even if sound is coming out of a single speaker, it's going to sound different. In fact, I would say, go ahead and take your headphones off real quick. I'll hit these drums again, then put your headphones back on and we'll test it with CLA NX. So go ahead and take your headphones off. I can't because of the video here. Listen to that through your speakers. All right, put your headphones back on. We'll turn CLA NX back on. So it's back on now. And now whenever you listen, it's going to sound like these drums are in a real room, even if you have something panned way left and way right. See? That sounds much more like you're in an actual room. Again, even if I have this panned all the way left or all the way right, if it's coming through a speaker, we're going to have the crosstalk of, if we have two speakers, of course, but we're going to have the reflections of the room, the way it hits your face, etc., the realism of a room. So you want to make sure that translates whenever you're mixing on your headphones. Again, if I bypass that right here, it's just glued left and right. And then, positioning. Okay. There's a bit of a sense of we're moving, through space, but let's turn our room back on here. Right? Now it sounds like you're actually mixing again in a nice room. Much better sense of position. So again, this can inform you on where exactly do I want to place these toms in the mix. We'll bypass it. Now, as I said up top, of course you want your mix to work on just headphones, but you don't want it to work only on headphones. Now, let me show you something that can happen if you're mixing only on headphones. Let's check out this vocal here. And for this vocal, we're going to have a bit of this vocal plugin, the CLA vocal plugin with the reverb and delay turned off, and also some of the CLA Epic delay and reverb. So first we'll start with CLA NX bypassed. So we're just hearing this through our headphones.
Our souls are made of flames. My heart is in your name.
So I want it to be...
Was it all just a game?
I want this to be fairly saturated. Now, I don't have a space to judge this in if I'm just using headphones. So I might end up oversaturating it since I don't have the realism of the room, the crosstalk, the reverberations, the walls, etc., etc. So you can end up, again, oversaturating things like reverbs and delays.
Our souls are made of flames. My heart is in your name. Was it all just a game? Or do you feel the same?
Okay. So that's pretty much what I want, I think, right? But I need to check this in the real world. But of course, if you're traveling or you don't have great speakers or you just want to check it in a multi-million-dollar room just to get an idea of how it would sound, it's always a good idea to check your mix on as many sources as you can. Once you check it in a real room, or in our case, a virtual room, you may find out you have oversaturated things like reverbs and delays. So check this out. We have this CLA NX turned on now.
Our souls are made of flames. My heart is in your name.
Okay, it's not horrible.
Was it all just a game?
But it's too saturated.
Do you feel the same?
So I'm losing the essence of the vocal, and it's being drowned out with way too much. Now again, if I bypass this,
our souls are made of flames.
Sounds good to me.
My heart is in your name.
But of course I have headphones on, right?
Was it all just...
Pop on our room again. Let's go to the mains here.
Our souls are made of flames. My heart is in your name.
It's just too much. So now that I know it's going to be way too much in the real world, I can make better decisions, right? So let's pop this down, probably somewhere around, I want this to be sort of that saturated effect here. So maybe take it down to around 37, and that should translate much better into our real world here.
Our souls are made of flames. My heart is in your name. Was it all just a game?
Again, if you have that head tracker on, you have your camera on, you can turn your head. You can check, how it would sound in this real room here.
Our souls are made of flames.
So it sounds much better
My
now.
heart is in your name. Was it all just a game? Or do you feel the same?
Much better. So it's saturated enough, but it's not taking over. It's not taking away from the actual track. And whenever we bypass it, it's still going to work well on headphones.
Our souls are made of flames.
Yeah.
My heart is in your name. Was it all just a game? Or do you feel the same?
Okay, so that is how you use CLA NX if you want to do the Lord's work. Plus you have your 3 different monitor sources, which is a nice touch that you can actually change the source that you're listening through. All right, so that is CLA NX from Waves. We'll go through some of the speakers again here at the end, but you can pick it up right now over at Waves. Of course, I'll have a link in the description below if you want to pick it up. So to take us out here, we'll go through these different studio monitors again. All right. Bypass it. It's much more isolated now than the top.